Well, welcome back to our continuing coverage of the Students for Liberty conference here at the Grand Hyatt in Washington, D.C. I have for you not one, not two, but in fact three guests, but still only two microphones. So you'll have to forgive us as we shout over each other, trying to be heard by the couple of microphones that are distributed amongst us. Ladies, tell me a bit about where you're from, why you're here.
So we're sisters from Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
My name's Edina. My name's Ronesca.
My name's Nicola.
And we're members of the U of T Conservatives.
Okay. So, university level students or a mix between you or?
So I'm in grad school.
Yeah.
So I'm undergrad.
Yeah.
Undergrad as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
lovely. So you've come from Toronto to Washington, D.C. I'm guessing that's because there isn't really an equivalent in Canada to what happens here?
I think not exactly. Yeah, I think just
No, go on.
Like one good example, we just came out of the main hall and listened to a debate. I think that's a wonderful example of something that we have not seen happen on our campus, and I think that's just it's a beautiful testament, really, to what type of discourse we should be having. We should be debating. We should be talking about our diverse opinions.
Are you representative of your friendship group? Are you outliers within your sort of worlds in Toronto?
For me, I'm an engineering student,
Okay.
and within my program, I'd say you don't talk too much about politics, but when you do, it's very, very left-leaning, we definitely sit more on like the right side of the spectrum. So it's actually true that sometimes I've actually had friends kind of find out that I was a conservative and be like surprised and taken aback, which is interesting that you have to feel that way about just like political views.
Yeah, well, I would say, aside from not talking about it so much within certain disciplines, there's essentially an epidemic right now on Canadian campuses, and I think this is true in many other countries, not just Canada, but I can say from experience that it's very true in Canada, that people who don't necessarily agree with the mainstream accepted ideas just don't speak their mind, in part because they don't want to be penalized by their professors, by their peers. They're worried about career concerns, and this leads to a lot of political polarization on campus, and some people feeling very like they're not being heard, as well as the dominant voice just getting stronger and stronger because there's nobody there to oppose it. So I think from a standpoint of the kind of social change that I hope to see on campus, it's just a matter of people who do think differently about certain topics speaking out about them, so that we can have that open discussion and different viewpoints can be heard, so that we can come to more resolutions about these kinds of things as well.
So what's the appeal to coming here in the first place? Is it the speakers? Is it the networking? Is it just a chance to come to DC and, the thriving metropolis of DC and the great nightlife here? No, what's the actual appeal? Why have you made the trip?
I think there just isn't really an equivalent that I am aware of, at least in Canada, to have so many open-minded students from diverse political perspectives that want to speak out, that want to talk to each other. It's already been lovely, beyond even hearing the speakers, just talking to students we don't get those types of interactions, I think, in Canada oftentimes. I'm not saying always, but so that was sort of what attracted us to come.
But also just the speakers and learning more about things that we're already interested in, and then hearing about new topics that might be new points of interest in the future. It's just been really great to be hearing it in a setting like this, because that's not something that comes to you in Canada especially, but just in general.
Yeah.
So do any of you have plans to become active, or maybe you already are, in this space and try and influence culture and influence politics, or is this more of an academic, something that's of interest but not necessarily a career pathway or a passion in that sense?
I won't speak for them, at least not for myself. I don't have political aspirations. It's just honestly, again, I absolutely knew nothing about politics, nor was I interested in it prior to the pandemic. I think, I speak for all three of us when that was sort of a catalyst when we started paying attention and then becoming also interested in it. So for me, at least, it's just an interest.
Yeah, no, similar for myself. It was never my plan to really pursue or be active in this kind of space, but during the pandemic, honestly, the way that Canada dealt with it and the way that Canadian campuses dealt with it was something that, to be honest, I just didn't really want to be complacent in that kind of culture and feeling like I was a part of that problem, and at that point I also started to seek out connections with other people that thought critically about these kinds of issues, and have really enjoyed being a member of these kinds of communities.
Yeah.
And even if I can pursue the career path that I originally intended, but just be a part of cultural and social change by facilitating open discussions and being a part of open discussions, I think that that's something that's really important even for people who work outside of the political sector, because at the end of the day, a cultural shift outside of politics is needed, and people who operate only inside politics are maybe not even going to be able to reach those other spaces as well.
Well, as they say, we get the government that we deserve, and if we want a better government, we have to become better people, and that's really what you're talking about there, and that's really what this conference is all about.
For sure.
Well, thank you so much for saying hi, and representing the student side of things. I've had speakers, I've had politicians, I've had a bunch of sponsors and so forth, and you lovely ladies have represented the students and told our audience back home in Australia about why you're here, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thanks, Topher.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.